7 foods that actually do rot in your colon. Now, you may have been told in the past that meat, red meat, fatty meat, rots in your colon. This is absolutely untrue. Some vegans are still repeating this myth to this day. Absolutely untrue. Meat is completely digested and absorbed before it ever makes it to your colon. But there are some foods that absolutely do rot in your colon. Number 1, beans. Beans of any kind. Now, let's talk about what the word rot actually means. It has a definition. Merriam-Webster says that the word rot, the verb to rot, means to undergo decomposition from the action of bacteria or fungi. So bacteria and funguses eating something up, that's the definition of the word rot. So beans are not digested and absorbed by your small intestine. They do make it to the colon, and then bacteria and funguses cause them to rot in your colon. Number 2 is wheat. Yeah, the fiber in wheat is not digested and absorbed by your small intestine or your stomach. It makes it to your colon where it then rots as bacteria and fungi break it apart because your stomach could not do that. Next is onions and garlic. Yeah, sorry, they rot in your colon absolutely without a doubt. Next is oats. Yeah, you know that Quaker oatmeal that you thought was so healthy? You can't even break that down and digest that in your small intestine. It goes straight to your large intestine where bacteria and fungi cause it to rot. What about broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower? Yeah, they all rot in your colon. Absolutely. Now, the question becomes, is that a bad thing that they rot in your colon? Well, if broccoli is rotting in
Show me the life hack that you randomly saw one day that is now an unconscious standard practice in your life. I'll go first.
I'm going to show you how to stop suffering twice. Every time that you expect something to happen, you are choosing whether or not you're going to suffer. At least once. You can choose to either expect the bad to happen, or you can choose to expect the good to happen. And the outcome can only be bad or good. When you expect the good to happen, but actually the bad happens, you've only suffered once. When you expect the good to happen, and the good does happen, you've only suffered 0 times. When you expect the bad to happen, but the good happens, well, you've only suffered once. But when you expect the bad to happen, and the bad does happen, you've made yourself suffer twice, the maximum amount possible. There is no point in suffering twice. Expect the good, and if it's bad, you've only suffered once.
Did you know men have a cycle just like women do? Yes, you heard it here. Men do get a period. And it's a little period of time in the evening where their testosterone drops and their mood changes. You see, for guys, our hormone cycle, it is in sync with the sun. For women, it's with the moon. And so that means our hormones fluctuate as a guy every single day. Versus women, theirs are more throughout the entire month, over 28 days. And so what a woman experiences over the course of an entire month, we experience in 24 hours. And that's why it's so hard for us to understand the moods of each other. In the morning, for dudes, testosterone and cortisol, it peaks. You're productive, you're energized, you're ready to go and conquer the day. In the afternoon, your T starts to decline, you become more social, you're more open, expansive. But by the evening, your T drops the most and you get ready for just chilling out, or you're like, I want to kiss. You get into deep conversations, you start getting moody. This will change your view of reality.
Have you ever heard the saying, if it's black, fight back, if it's brown, get down, if it's white, good night? If you ever encounter a brown bear, the worst thing you can do is try to fight back, as these things are huge and will easily overpower you. The best thing you can do is lie face down, spread your legs apart, and put your hands over your neck. If a brown bear doesn't view you as prey or as a potential threat, it'll most likely leave you alone in a few minutes. You definitely don't want to try this against a black bear, however, as if you lay down, this thing will just tear you to shreds. Against a black bear, you want to put your arms over your head, make as much noise as possible, and make yourself big. If the bear doesn't back down, you're going to have to grab a stick, a rock, or something to try to hit it with. Also, don't try to climb a tree to escape. Black bears are excellent climbers, so this is never going to work. Finally, we have the polar bear, and if you're unlucky enough to encounter one of these in the wild, you're most likely going to die. There are really only 3 ways to escape a polar bear. 1 would be having a gun to shoot it, 2 would be having a vehicle or something to hide in, and 3 would be having a friend that's slower than you.
What if I told you I've been saying Yahweh, but I've been waiting for the right time to reveal the true name, and that time is now? By the end of this video, not only will you know the true name, you'll know how to pronounce it and how we got there. Many people, including scholars, have accepted Yahweh as the name of God. However, our research has confirmed the true name that was spoken in the ancient world is not it. The Yahweh pronunciation comes from Greek sources, not Hebrew ones. Greek transcriptions attempted to represent the name of God, but Greek lacks an H sound at the end, making the translation incomplete. Linguists and scholars use these Greek sources and tried to reconstruct the name, but they ignored Hebrew name structures and phonetics. In reality, his name was always pronounced Yahuwah. The proof is in Hebrew names like Eliyahu, Yahushua, and Netanyahu. So let's break down exactly how we got here. First, Hebrew phonetics confirm the Yahu sound. The letters in the Tetragrammaton are Yod, He, Wah, He. Early Hebrew names preserve the correct pronunciation. Yahunathan, Eliyahu, Yahushua. Every time the divine name appears within Hebrew names, the Yahu sound is consistent. This proves the first correct syllable. Next, ancient inscriptions confirm the ending is The Lachish letters and the Elephantine papyri all show Yahu as part of Hebrew names. But what about the last letter, He? The final He in Hebrew is a breath sound which carries an sound. We see this in biblical names like Torah or Sarah. This confirms that the correct ending of the Tetragrammaton follows the same pattern, Yahu, Lastly, we looked at vibrational and numerical patterns in the name. Hebrew letters have numerical values, and the sum of Yahuwah is 26, a number deeply connected to divine structure. Prime numbers, Fibonacci sequences, and ancient Shemitah cycles align with this name, proving its sacred nature. The final confirmed pronunciation of Yahuwah is Yahuwah. But here's what makes this name even more powerful. His name isn't just a sound, it's a frequency that affects the world around us. In my next video, I'll reveal the hidden power of his name and why they work so hard to erase it.
Hate to be the one to tell y'all this, but some of y'all really got to stop playing with people, because there are literally human beings on this earth that you can end up with that will have you searching for them in every person you date after them. So if you got somebody good that love on you and treat you right and do you right, you may either want to tighten up or let them go before you do something that could hurt them to the point where they will never forgive you, and you will be searching for them for the rest of your life. If you have somebody good, I'm telling you, the grass is not greener on the other side. Like a lot of y'all have been seeing how the dating pool is going right now. On top of them theories I keep seeing, the first love theory, the taxi cab theory, all these theories, y'all, a lot of them theories are true for a lot of people. Not everybody, but for some people, they are true. And it's people finding out that they named after their mama or their daddy's first love and all kind of stuff like that. Stop playing with people. Stop playing with people and stop letting people play with you. That's no, don't let nobody play with you.
I would love to see a straight girl break down the spectrum of straight men the way that lesbians have done it.
Yes, I can absolutely do that, and I created us a visual aid. Also, thanks to some crowd comments, I added food guy and blue collar MacGyver to my straight guy color spectrum. And another comment I wanted to point out is there is a healthy and toxic version of all of these variants, but let's cover the crazy variant first. Starting off strong with Sports Guy. Sports Guy is capable of love during hard times, like whenever his team is losing. He remembers game dates, but not birth dates. The crazy variant punches their TV when their team loses the Super Bowl. Moving on to Business Guy. Business Guy has a good job and some stability, although he's emotionally cold and sometimes cheats. The crazy version of this, think Patrick Bateman. It's going up to Institution Guy. Institution Guys aren't necessarily bad. they're just away from the house a lot. A crazy version of them is when you prefer they stay gone. Moving on over to I don't do that guy. I don't do that guy gives no oral, thinks vajayjays are gross, and the crazy variant expects to receive oral because that's different. Stand strong with church guy. Church guy has conservative values, has weird views about women and consent, and on the crazy spectrum, has dubious answers about where they were on January 6th. Stay away from church guy. Moving on to mama's boy. Mama's boys are sensitive to women's feelings, but you're really dating their mom. The crazy version of this, you go through the divorce proceedings with their mom. All right, on to hobosexual. Hobosexuals date for shelter. They're a total mooch, and the crazy version of this will ruin your credit. On down to artsy sensitive guy. Artsy sensitive guy is in touch with his emotions, but a little too much to where he's self-centered. And when you need something, he will not be there for you because he's so busy feeling his feelings. The toxic, crazy version of this will gaslight the fuck out of you about whether or not they're actually there for you. All right, our golden retriever gamer guys. They're funny, loyal, they don't take the best care of themselves in their environment, and the crazy version will stalk you after you break up. Nerd guys. Nerd guys are good at conversations. Sometimes they're a little emotionally disconnected, and on the crazy spectrum, think Ted Kaczynski Unabomber. Coming on around to food guy. Food guy cooks better than your mom. He's comfortable and snuggly and doesn't mind when you fart. On the crazy spectrum, they engage in eating competitions and sometimes snort ghost peppers and bring fucked up shit in your house like durian fruit. And finally, we have the blue-collar MacGyvers. These guys are hardworking, they can fix literally anything, and on the crazy spectrum, think anarchist cookbook. Hope that helps.
In the Bible, the number of human consciousness is 9. Now, the reason the number of human consciousness is 9 in the Bible is because in Sanskrit, which is the original Hindu language, the value of the word atom is 9, and atom means earth or the center, human consciousness. Knowing that number 9 is consciousness, you can break a lot of codes in the Bible. The sign of the beast, 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 1/8 equals 9. The sign of the beast is simply the lower consciousness. In the very next paragraph in the Bible, it says 144,000 are saved. 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. When Jesus says, cast your net to the right side and you'll catch fish in John 21:11, they catch 153 fish. He's not talking about fish. He's not talking about a net. He's not talking about a boat. He's saying if you cast the energy within you to the right hemisphere of the brain, you'll catch fish, which means wisdom and understanding.
Can you get them off quickly in case of a fire? That's a great question. So they're talking about these protectors that we have in our windows and like these protectors on our doors. And they're very common in Mexico. As you can see, all of my neighbors have them. Even my neighbor next door has them as well. Just in case you didn't know, or anybody else that didn't know, homes here in Mexico are made out of concrete. I know in the United States, where I lived for many, many years, they're made out of wood. So if a fire starts, and it's a pretty bad fire, chances are your house is going to burn to the ground. Here in Mexico, it's a little different because, well, concrete can't catch on fire. And although a fire can spread within the inside because of items inside the house, if you're a quick thinker, you just pull everything away and the fire will just stay in place. There's been multiple fires in the city already, and not one time has it been an issue with, somebody's life. Because again, the fire can't spread like it would spread if the house was made out of wood.
Can we unveil the trophy, maybe?
I'd love to do
because this is something special. So today is 100 days to go for a new competition that we created together. The FIFA Club World Cup, the best clubs in the world with the best players in the world. So we can show this is a unique trophy. This is the trophy, but it's not finished, because it's unlike any other trophy. There is a key.
Oh, wow.
There is no other sports trophy like that.
Oh, that is good. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait.
Wow. That's one I didn't
And that's the trophy.
That is something, huh?
We got to win now, Mr. President. This is a good one.
That's beautiful. I would give it to Christy, except it has my name on it.
We have another one for
you.
Of course.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Is that going to be the ball?
That's the official
the
match
ball
ball.
for this-
This will be what
trophy,
it
for
will
this
look
trophy.
like, the ball?
Yes.
When they play?
When they play.
Wow, that's great.
You've heard that annoying sound before? That is called feedback. That also happens when you cup the microphone. You never want to point your microphone actually at a speaker or cup it, because it creates something called feedback. It's happened at weddings. It happened at a gig. Don't do it. Do not point your microphone at a speaker or cup it. You're going to get feedback. Ready?
No.
1.
You failed!
He got it!
Is it possible to spot a narcissist simply by looking at their face?
Well, recent research suggests that actually as humans we can do it, and there's one particular thing, one aspect of someone's face that's very important when we're judging if they're a narcissist or not. Now, what is a grandiose narcissist? Well, I found a fantastic article this week in Psychology Today that both describes what one is and then identifies some research from the University of Toronto that shows a particular type of physical characteristic that can help us identify one. Now, a grandiose narcissist, as defined by Psychology Today, is someone whose behaviour is associated with aggression, dominance, arrogance, entitlement, extroversion. Not a particularly nice type of person. Did you know, though, psychology suggests we're actually attracted to that type of person socially initially. We can actually find them quite enthralling and we want to be around them. But then it's easy to see really what their behaviour is all about themselves generally. So not particularly a nice type of person. But in this interesting research undertaken by a couple of psychologists at the University of Toronto, they got faces of people, both a group of people who were considered narcissist and those who weren't, and they altered them physically by computer animation. And the bit that seemed to be, or the bit of the face that when they altered seemed to make the most difference, was the eyebrows. So when they got a bunch of faces that were from non-narcissists and they superimposed eyebrows from the group of people who were narcissists, the people in the experiment rated those people far more narcissistic. And when they took the eyebrows of non-narcissists and put them on the narcissist face, those people got rated as less narcissistic. So an interesting aspect, these things, and the article goes on to explain just how important eyebrows are. So it's the dominance of the eyebrows here, the dominance of the eyebrows. Do you know someone who you would consider a narcissist who's got real dominant eyebrows? Because apparently, according to this research, they can have a really big impact on how we define someone correctly who's narcissistic or not.
Vegetarians have smaller brains. The less a human eats meat, then the smaller the brain becomes. The brain is so dependent on the nutrient density that comes from animal-sourced foods that it will suffer when it doesn't get them. It's a real thing. And why does depression go up so much when people stop eating animal-sourced foods? It's because you are depriving the brain of what it needs.
What I'm about to say might be the weirdest sentence that you ever hear in your entire life, but apparently the A-list, the rich, the elite, the 1% are having mermaid parties. And I don't mean it's a themed mermaid party. I don't mean you dress up like a mermaid. I don't even mean that there are mermaids in the pool that just happen to be ambiance. No, these are mermaid eating parties where they're serving up mermaids. I'm sorry, what in the fish and chips are we talking about? Because yeah, I landed on mermaid eating TikTok, and let me just tell you, my mind is blown. Allegedly, a guy came forward talking about mermaid eating parties in Hollywood. He got invited to a party. Next thing you know, they served a mermaid. He didn't want to eat it. He went to leave. He found a cooler full of living mermaids in the kitchen. What do you think about this? Because I've been to LA a lot. I've been around a lot of A-list people. I've been around a lot of rich people throughout my whole life. I was never invited to a mermaid eating party. And I don't know if I'm upset about that or I'm okay with that. But have you heard these stories? Because apparently we're eating mermaids now.
Have you seen this video? The most important Bible verse nobody knows about on dating is Proverbs 27:7. It says, "The one who is full loathes honey from the comb, but to the hungry, even what's bitter starts to taste sweet." In other words, don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry, because that's when things like sushi flavored Oreos start to sound good. When your appetite goes up, your standards go down. If you are not satisfied with your relationship with Christ, you won't be able to wait for Mr. Right, and you're gonna end up settling for Mr. Right now. Now, you say, man, but it's really hard being single. As a pastor who's watched thousands of people, let me tell you what's harder than being single. Wishing you were.
If you live in any of these highlighted regions, and specifically North, Central, and South America, you're about to experience something crazy. The moon is going to pass behind Earth and through Earth's shadow, and then it's going to look like it turned red. What you're going to be seeing is a full, total lunar eclipse. And these somewhat shaded regions here are going to experience a partial lunar eclipse. This is going to happen on the night between March 13th and 14th, and the moon is going to look red because the light that's hitting it has traveled through our atmosphere. So the sunlight's going to reach Earth, and our planet and our atmosphere is going to scatter all of the blue light, which is why the sky is blue, and the red light is going to keep traveling, which means it's basically a giant sunset on the moon. I can't possibly tell you the times to look up for all of these cities, but if you're on the east coast of the United States, it'll be around 3 a.m. on March 14th. But please look up the time for your city. This is going to be so cool, and it's going to be especially cool because a total lunar eclipse is only seen from any one location on average about every 2.5 years. Happy moon gazing!
If you didn't know, there's certain videos circulating around on TikTok talking about elites eating mermaids, and I just want to make this very clear, okay? Mermaids do in fact exist. First of all, you have to understand that certain elites, let's just say, aren't like us underneath their, let's just say costume. But aside from that, if you have the balls and confidence and a team that just so happens to have some soundproof equipment, as dumb as that may sound, you can actually hunt them in some areas of the ocean. The only reason that you don't know about shit like this is because you don't explore areas of the internet outside of just Googling shit, okay? There's certain groups on Telegram, especially on the dark web, and I'm so serious right now, with fishermen that come from certain coastlines, and this can range anywhere from California all the way to Australia. They're literally all over the world. And they'll talk about not only catching them, but post their weight, their size, their length, their colored hair. I mean, there's a lot of shit that goes into this. They even post pictures. They've even posted them on TikTok, but people don't believe that they're real most of the time. And announce out in the open, sometimes announcing that they're actually hunted down by the FBI, CIA, whatever it may be, that they deliver them to people that have a shit ton of fucking money. There's actually some hot spots in the United States. For example, if you go to the very end of Virginia Beach around 3 to 4 a.m., which I still hear stories on a monthly basis of people being taken out into the ocean by them, but regardless, you might see some sketchy ass looking people. Just know that there's a lot of aspects of this reality, including mermaids and cryptids even, that exist, but you just don't know about them. And many of you aren't aware of them simply because your mind isn't open to them actually existing. And you might call me crazy, that's completely fine. There's thousands of other people that know this information as well. I've even had personal experiences with cryptids. I even recorded them on camera a couple years ago. The lot that was across from my house, I actually caught what looked to be a djinn, or in quotations, the hat man that was following me. I've caught the fae on camera. I have these videos like long down in my TikTok. I'm pretty sure I have a playlist of them. But I mean, even in Colorado, I've had some skinwalker experiences. I've had a Wendigo experience that was the most terrifying fucking day of my entire life. If you go out to look for it, you will end up eventually fucking finding it. I'm just being completely honest with you right now. You can even ask the natives up in Colorado. They will tell you some crazy ass shit. But as for mermaids, I can tell you where to look and what time to do it.
Can trauma change your DNA? Let's talk about it. Your DNA is a big book of instructions that your cells use in order to do their jobs. Different kinds of cells have very different jobs, so even though they all have a copy of the entire book, they only need to read certain chapters at any given time. The way that cells open and shut the book to specific chapters is called epigenetics. Epigenetics doesn't change the contents of the book at all, but it does change which pages it's open to. One of the things that changes your epigenetics is stress and physical trauma. So for example, if you endure a period of starvation, your cells will flip from the wait for food to get energy chapter to the start burning fat stores for energy chapter. And if that stress is extreme enough or goes on for a long enough time, your epigenetics can change permanently and be passed down to your children. So if somebody lives through a famine, even after the food comes back, their cells are probably always going to be a little bit quicker to switch to the start burning fat instructions in their cells compared to somebody who always had food available. And this change can be inherited by their kids. So while extreme physical stress and trauma can't actually rewrite your DNA, it can change how your cells and your children's cells will read it.
Interesting.
Thanks for watching all this way, my friend. It's been a pleasure being with you. If it's your first time around, I've been White 311H. We normally read from this book, the Book of Wisdom, to add more wisdom in our lives, my friend, and to be guided in everything we do. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart. Interesting. Good baby soul. Let's talk with the creator and maker of our hearts. Thank you, good Father, for your love and kindness. Thank you, dear Lord, for your breath in us. Thank you for your wonderful, precious child, today's viewer, Father. Thank you for the blessings you've passed in their lives. Thank you for forgiveness of all their sins, Father, and for the goodness. Dear Lord, may this video impact the people's lives that it will reach out to their Father. And may they see your goodness and love. Help this viewer, Father, to walk according to your ways and to do good from wherever they are. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Till next time, child of God, peace, love, and good vibes be with you. Bye bye.